Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, starring Mel Gibson, Bruce Spence, Emil Minty, Vernon G. Wills, and Michael Preston, directed by George Miller. Now, I've seen this once in my life when the podcast I listened to reviewed it about almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago at least, and I haven't seen it since. So let's see if this is and I hear this one's supposed to be the best one. But we'll see how that goes. Let's get into this movie. We get a narration about Max Rokitansky, returned by Mel Gibson, and how he became Mad Max, or he's been called the Road Warrior. And there's some things that weren't shown in the original movie but are explained in the opening narration with more details, which works so much more than in the first film, where we barely see it, and the narration was a great choice from director George Miller. Max gets in a chase by some bad guys led by the gyro captain, by Lord Humongous, that's his name, along with Wes, played by Vernon Wells, and Lord Humongous, and they drive away like they were just wounded because Wes gets shot on his own arm by an arrow. And Max sees a couple of dead bodies as one of them has a music box that sings "Happy Birthday to You," and he takes it off. And this may be the most relaxed Mel Gibson has been as the character, as I do like following him in this movie. And we'll see how part 3 goes. Well, part of the title is Mad Max. Max and his precious, doggy, sees a one-chaired helicopter and meets the gyro captain in a mask along with his snake, and takes him to a place called the refinery. Let me see if I'm saying this right. The refinery? I don't know if I'm saying that right. And they stop at a hill to see a robbery of fuel being taken by Wes, and for hours the gyro captain goes without food while Lord Humongous and Wes gather around the refinery, whatever that word is, so they can steal their oil, gasoline, and fuel from them, as one guy tries to escape, gets killed, and sees them running on. And that's when the coast is clear, and Max gets in the refinery while a woman is killed and leaves the gyro captain behind, while Max beats up on the woman killer beaten up by Max, while he picks up Nathan, who can help him get all the fuel he needs. And when Max arrives, he is interrogated by Papagallo, played by Michael Preston, and they bring his car as his doggy in the refinery afterhand, and they trap Max in the refinery, as this is working so much better than the first Mad Max film, in my opinion. Humongous brings the gang over there and tells them he intercepted all their escapes until the feral kid, played by Emil Minty, throws a boomerang and cuts off a hand, killing Wes's companion, as they have one day to open the refinery, or else they will steal Max's car. And he gives the feral kid the music box I brought up at one point in the beginning of the movie, and they get divided as Max wants to have a word about how he could get the fuck out of the refinery. And he makes a revolution out of the refinery by helping them against Humongous. And this is done much stronger, as this movie is much better directed, well written, acted, and told than last time, as this is so far a much better movie than the first film thus far. The feral kid invites Max to come with him as Max walks by foot to death along with his doggy, capturing the gyro captain and grabbing some things as well as a gun, and his gyro he brings him back to the refinery. And the cinematography is better here than last time, and this is a much better looking movie than the first film. Max leaves the gyro captain once again, but not in his car, but in a truck, as the gyro captain appears out of the blue. And while they approach Humongous and Wes and attack the truck, while the gyro captain views the attack from the air. And the action sequences are amazing in this movie, I might add. The refinery opens the door for Max, and the gyro captain drops the snake on one of the gang members, and Max makes it in with one of the bad guys getting inside the gate, and the refinery kills the bad guys. And Max burns the bad guys as Wes says, You could run, but you can't hide, which is brilliantly said by Vernon Wells. The gyro captain tells the feral kid to get away from the helicopter, and the refinery says they're getting out tonight and they'll be leaving in 12 hours, as they're led to believe they got 24 hours to get the fuck out of there. And the refinery accepts Max as one of their own, while Max wants to leave, and Humongous and his gang come in and threatens them. They won't get out if they're alive. They won't get out of it alive, and they work on escaping Humongous. And these shots are absolutely haunting, and the score is tremendous in this movie too. Max gets offered to go to paradise by the refinery, but he refuses and punches one of the guys, advising him to, while Max isn't in the mood. And the feral kid tries to calm him down, but he doesn't want to cheer up. And the feral kid gets upset as he refuels his gas in a car and gets his car back. Well, kind of. And he says his goodbyes while the feral kid sees Max leaving, and Wes, as well as Humongous, seeing Max is leaving and going after him, and flips him over, and the doggy barks at the bad guys, and one of them shoots an arrow at the poor doggy, which made me so sad. And that's how much I care for not just the characters, but the doggy as well. Max blows up the car and hides from Wes, and the gang ends. They leave. Max is wounded, and the gyro captain finds him by helicopter and brings him back and to the refinery. That's a hell of a way to save the main character as the road warrior, and I'm giving credit to the writer as making this a good rescue. Max wakes up and sees the feral kid, while the refinery knows Humongous's gang wants the tanker, and Max wants to drive the truck and tells them he's the best chance they've got, and loads his shotgun and prepares for battle as the refinery goes to war with Humongous, as the feral kid wants to join the fight, and he sneaks by and they blow up their vehicles, and the gyro captain gets shot at and crashes. And Max drives the truck for a while as the bad guys try to get Max down, and he knocks down the bad guys, and Wes opening the doors so they can capture Max and kill him off. And the bad guys get one guy on fire, and the female warrior saves his life and gets killed by Wes over it, as Max tries to knock them over while the bad guys knock over some of the refinery. And Max shoots the wheel of one of the bad guys and makes him flip over and dies. And Wes climbs on the truck and almost kills Max, until a bad guy with claws holds him, and Max makes Wes flip over and crushes him to death. And the feral kid attacks the gyro and the gyro captain crashes, but he makes it out alive, surprisingly, at the end of it. While this chase is going on for a while, and it is a fun sequence with the feral kid scaring the hell out of Wes, and he gets smushed to death and dies. And Humongous retreats his men as Max is seriously injured, and the refinery I think that's what the word is now, gets out of it alive thanks to Max, as they'll never see him again, and they get out of it alive. And the same thing with the feral kid. And the climax is one of the best action sequences as well as the series. And this probably, in my opinion, might be the best of the original Mad Max until we get to Fury Road. I don't remember that movie too well, but we'll see. Now it's time for my rating. I'll give this movie a 9.0 out of 10. Director George Miller does some very good choices here, whereas it wasn't clear in the first movie, as Mel Gibson seems like, as far as the narration goes, as Mel Gibson seems more relaxed in this movie than in last time. And I like following him more than this time, as a part of the title Mad Max makes a hell of a lot more sense. The cinematography is better here than last time, as it looks more like a desert than I expected Australia to look like, which was a country filled with water, but that's just my opinion. While in this movie, it looks like a dystopian world, and I felt so bad for the poor doggy when it died in the movie, as we hear it cry, but we don't see it dying on screen, and that's how much I really like this doggy. This is a much better directed, written, told, acted, and just as much better movie than the first one, in my opinion, as there's very little sequels that are as good or as the first movie or better, as this is a strong recommendation, and there's a reason this is a worthy sequel, in my opinion. Is as so far, this may be the best of the original three Mad Max movies, also, in my opinion. We'll get to Fury Road when I do. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And until then, oh, what a day. What a lovely day.